What's up, guys? Quick edit to the video. I said this at the very end of the video. I meant to say it at the very beginning, but I'll do it now. I want to say how proud I am of Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley as a sports fan. I'm not a Giants fan. I'm a Falcons fan, but I gotta give credit to guys who change their own narrative. I know all the praise goes to Brian Daboll and his coaching staff, and it's much deserved. I understand that. But we've seen players written off a million times in many sports, and they can't recover no matter the change of coaches, the change of teammates, whatever, the change of scheme. We've seen two guys, Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, change their own narrative along with the help of their teammates, coaches, staff, and organization. So much shout out to those guys. Proud of those two guys. Let's get into the video. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Stats Free Sports channel. Let's get right into it. I want to do a video discussing the Giants and if they should bring back both Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. Let's get right into it. So now the Giants season is officially over. I can finally do this video. I was going to do it early on during the season, you know, when they had a good record, and they went through a little tough spell, and they bounced right back, you know, ended up making the playoffs, beat the Vikings. So I'm like, let me hold off and see what this team's going to look like at the end of the season and how far they actually could go. Well, they won the first round in the wild card last weekend, lost in the divisional round, but they had a heck of a season. Brian Daboll, if not winning the Coach of the Year award, we'll see. He's definitely in everyone's mind probably Coach of the Year. To have no number one wide receiver, no number two wide receiver, Daniel Jones, who seemed to be broken prior to this year, Saquon Barkley, who seemed to can't stay healthy prior to this year, flipped it all around and made his team to a playoff team, got to the divisional round of the playoffs, you know, 10-8-1. You can't beat that. You can't beat that at all, man. That's a pretty good year, a great year for what they had to work with. Now, yesterday's game, if you're a Giants fan, if you're an NFL fan in general, kind of gave you cause to pause on, man, what should the Giants do with Daniel Jones? And I'm looking at all the numbers. I'm looking at all the games, everything I've seen, going back, watching some tape on a bunch of the games. And we all know the Eagles are devastating defense. You know, when they're in their mode, when they're in that zone, early on during the season, they were fantastic, looked unbeatable midway through the year. Before their first loss, they started having tough stretches, didn't end up losing. But prior to that, though, I mean, that defense, we know what it was. And we already knew when playoff time came, this Giants, if it matched up right, the Giants weren't going to beat them. You know, the Vikings probably won't beat them either. Or probably wouldn't have beat them. So, you know, this is definitely on par with what I thought would happen. The Eagles punished the Giants. But I will say this. Brian Daboll, and the thing with me about bringing Saquon and Daniel Jones back is I think they should, but Daboll doesn't really like to run the ball that much, and that's kind of concerns me for the most part. If you look at Saquon Barkley attempts throughout the whole year, he's barely went over 18 attempts per game. You know, and for a back who you might pay long term in this scheme, doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of tough. You know, Jones, I can't really grade him properly. Yesterday's game, 15 for 27, one pick, no touchdowns, 135 yards. He has no weapons. The Eagles defense is legit, beyond legit. So it's not nothing to really, you know, it is what it is. So I'm not really concerned about Jones. I don't think Jones is a long-term answer, but I'll definitely give Jones a good 2-year, $50 million. I wouldn't mind. The Giants got a bunch of cap space. I think they're right behind my Falcons at number 2. The Bears are number 1. I think the Giants are around 3 or 4, somewhere in that range. So the Giants got buku bucks of money to spend this off season. So I'm thinking Daniel Jones gets a 2-year, $50 million, 2-year, $60 million, 25 to 30 million per year. That's not bad to me. Then Saquon's the problem. As I said earlier, the 18 carry thing. Dayball's not really a runner of the football per se with one running back. So paying Saquon long term, which I know was on the table prior to this year, prior to this game, we heard talks about, okay, the Giants want both long term. Saquon might get franchised. I really think Saquon gets franchised. The franchise tag is about, I think, 10.1 million. Should be around that range. Saquon, if it hits the open market, should command about 10 million. I wouldn't see why not. So it's about appropriate value. But Saquon's 26, 27. That's not old, but it's definitely getting up there for a running back, close to their, out of prime age. So it's kind of tough. It really is tough, man. Those years Saquon had, that was really injury prone. The last 2 years kind of set him back on the extension table part. But I think getting franchised, I'm not in Saquon's pockets at all, but 10 million just for next year, betting on yourself. If I'm him, I wouldn't be mad at it. You gotta understand what you just went through the last 3 years. You had one good year out of the last three, and this year was that good year. Stay healthy, ran for over 1,000 yards, looked phenomenal. Look good. I'm so phenomenal. He looked pretty good. Looked very good. Not phenomenal though. I'll take that back. But he looked very good though. I will say that. So I think the franchise coming for Saquon. I don't think he's long term. He's in the playing long terms. Cause even next year, if he plays well, let's say Saquon gives you the same year he just gave you this year. The same year next year, same exact year. You're gonna have the argument for an organization, and Brian Daboll is he's a year older now, so he's gonna be even closer out of that prime year. So I think Saquon's kind of in a tough spot. If he doesn't want to get franchised, there is a situation where I see him hitting the open market. That it is possible. I hope it doesn't get there because the way everything's looking out, the Giants want him back at least for the short term. And he said, I think last night, and I know it's PC, everyone's supposed to say that, but I think the Giants fans really love him. I think he really loved the Giants and their fans. So he said he wanted to be there long term, finish his career out with the Giants. So I hope it does happen if he wants that, honestly. I think the Giants fans love him too. So yeah, I don't see these two guys being long-term pieces, but in the short term, next year or two, I can see it happening. I can see the Giants having an out in their contract with Daniel Jones, as I said, about 2-year 50, 2-year 30, and kind of do what my Falcons did with Mariota. They have an option. They have an out. So Mariota, for us at least, he's not Jones. We don't make the playoffs at all. I understand that, but kind of it should be structured in a similar way. Mariota will probably be cut. It'll save us about like 10, 15 million because that's how the contract was structured when Mariota signed with us last year. So I think the same could be set for Daniel Jones. If he doesn't play well next year, go ahead cut him in 2024. He won't go against the cap, and you can get your guy there via trade, via draft, however the Giants get him. Or they could draft one this year, surprise everyone, get Anthony Richardson, get Will Levis, something like that, and try to let them sit for a year, gain some knowledge under Jones, and then let Jones loose in 2024. So, yeah, both these guys, I think, have a short-term future with the Giants, but long-term is definitely out the picture, in my opinion, for both guys. I think Daboll wants a better quarterback, but as I said, they need to spend that money this offseason. Trade for DeAndre Hopkins, get some better wide receivers in there, ace the draft, or at least get a B plus in the draft as far as weapons and DBs and safeties, whatever else they need, and then bring these two guys back for a short term, at least guaranteed for next year. As I said, 2-year deal for Jones, franchise tag Saquon. Do not give him a long term deal. I'm not giving Saquon a long-term deal. Then from that point on, probably cut ties with both players no matter what happens the following season in 2024. So that's my prediction on that. But yeah, both these guys played well, man. I'm proud of both these guys. I mean, I said that earlier on in the video. I'm proud of both these guys. They changed their narrative. Along with Dayball, you got to give coaches credit, but the players themselves changed the narrative, and you got to respect that. So that's it for video, guys. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.